Welcome to Mixtapes, folks. I'm your host, Eric Stanglin, and right next to me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Mark Moots. Moots, what's going on this morning? I shouldn't say that. What's going on this evening?
It's not morning.
It,
Usually it
it's
is.
usually morning, but it's
Today
not.
it is not. Well, I'm really excited about this, and all of our prog like fan friends are gonna have a field day with this one. The dude we're talking to today is, man, I've been a fan for a minute, like a long time.
Yeah,
And it's for me, it's a bit of one of those gets where I'm like, this is crazy.
yeah.
You know, like I say, if you're into prog, you certainly know who the band Fate's Warning is,
hmm
and you should know who Mr. Frank Aresti is.
Yeah, I got to see them in '94, open up
Mm,
for Dream Theater in a small little club called Del Mar Station in Reno, Nevada.
yeah.
And they were great. And it was Dream Theater wasn't hitting big yet. They had Pull Me
Mhm.
Under, but then it's like I think it was on like just when they released Awake, the second record, the
Okay.
second
Yeah.
record with James,
Yeah.
and it was it was a good crowd, but it was kind of like the thing I love about those prog crowds is it's just a bunch of nerdy dudes,
Yeah.
and like everybody's like very cool and nice and respectful. So
Hmm.
it's like I literally was like I don't know 10 feet from the stage, and
Sure.
like I never had to worry about anything. Like I
Yeah.
didn't have to have the drunk guy trying to run me over 2 minutes
Yep.
before Dream Theater come on. I don't have to worry about, beers being spilled all over me, anything. It was just, it is. It's like that typical everybody's just watching in
Yeah.
amazement and just
Or like
going,
taking notes,
yeah,
you
oh my
know.
God. Deciding if they want to quit guitar and, go into like, get a degree in finance or something. Like, cause,
Yep.
I mean, it's like, or any instrument, let's be honest, right? I'm
Yeah.
just saying
Any of them.
guitar because I'm a guitar player, but
Yeah.
yeah, they were fucking great that night,
Yeah.
and I've been doing a little bit of a dive, because we're lucky enough to have them on the show. And I
Hmm.
checked out the latest record. It's really good. Like, I mean, and it was kind of funny because I've been bouncing around, listening to some of the old stuff again, kind of being reacquainted with it, listening to the new record, and it's interesting because there's a lot of I feel like this band, there was a lot of growth, and I feel like there's a lot of different avenues, but they all work. Does that make sense?
Totally. No, I think that I mean we'll talk about it quite a bit in the actual show, but like I discovered them early with like their first singer,
hmm
John Arch,
Right.
who a lot of the like purists are, that's their shit, right?
Sure.
And I do really enjoy the Arch era stuff quite a bit, but um when they took a turn, they got Ray singing for them. That was when I really like I just fucking love that stuff. And Frank's interesting because like he was with them with John Arch, and then he left, and then he came back and did a couple. He did two more albums, the 2004 and 2013 Fates albums,
Okay.
and then he left again. So actually, the album that you listened to, the latest one, I agree. I think it's really good, but Frank is not on that record.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, he came back with FWX and Darkness in a different light. Um, but I also believe he plays in a band, Arch Matheos, which is Jim Matheos and John Arch from Fates Warning.
Oh, okay.
I think he worked with them. We'll try to get into that a little bit. I have notes. I have research.
Look at you.
Fucking prepared, son.
Well, yeah.
Um, Try to be at least. Uh, but like, if you're a fan of Dream Theater, I I don't know how you don't like Fates Warning, because in my maybe not even humble opinion, Dream Theater owes a debt to Fates Warning.
Not even the
Uh,
sandwich, not even the Subway
no, a
franchise.
debt,
Yeah.
like a debt of gratitude.
Yeah, you know
Like,
what's funny? I don't disagree with you whatsoever. I mean,
well, and because Fates Warning and Queensryche are always sort of, at least for a long time, were kind of mentioned in the same breath. Fates Warning is so much more progressive, like
yes.
like way
Yes.
beyond. Like they're very technical. Um, Queensryche dabbles, but Fates Warning is like they're a prog band.
Yes.
Like there's no like metal band that does some techie fancy shit. It's like no. Fates Warning is a prog band, and I think an exceedingly good one.
Yeah. Oh, I like re-listening to some stuff, finding some new stuff. I just really enjoyed it. I mean,
Yep.
it's and I will not speak for other instruments, you know,
Sure.
but as a guitar player, I really enjoyed like everything I heard.
Yeah, especially like we're talking Frank, obviously, and his leads are great. Jim is always great.
Dude,
Um,
the tones were great. I
mm,
feel like after you get past like the second record, they got like
yes,
it seems like they got money for production. You know what
little
I
bit,
mean?
yeah, because
And you
they were still Metal Blade,
well, and
but
yeah, right. And like that's the hardest thing is like if we go back in the time machine,
yeah,
you can look at almost any record from that time period and the production's just really lackluster because those bands, those labels were not putting money into metal. It really, I think
no,
Master Puppets, maybe Ride the Lightning
hmm
influenced Master Puppets to get more money put in the machine, and then the records started getting stronger production wise, I think.
yeah, and I think with these guys, by the time you get to Parallels, especially, like that was a big dollar album,
And that
and
was, well, that's an interesting album too, because that's one of those albums that like divided a lot of the fans because
yep,
that was one of those ones where
it's almost a Black album.
yes, yes. And I'll be honest with you, man. I went back and re-listened to that record. I liked it a lot.
I love that record.
I don't have that problem of being like, oh, they sold out, they this and that. Like I
Dude,
said,
the
this is a
songs,
band. There's the journey. You know what I mean? There's the like you can feel we're going to kind of lean a little this way,
mhm,
but it's great. We can lean a little this
yeah,
way, but it's great. Like there's no this, in my opinion, from everything I've listened to, there's
yeah.
no, oh shit, what'd you do there?
No, I think that Fates, I don't really feel like they I don't feel like they put out a bad album. And I've been listening throughout everything. I think they're an incredible band, and I think they're, other than that niche of the prog dudes, they're just really underrated and unknown. And it's a bummer.
You know what they reminded me of
Hmm.
in that sense, King's X.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't disagree with
where
that.
they need to be known way more and they're not, and
Yep.
they're a musician type
Yeah.
band. Hey, before we get the show started, let's get all
Yes.
the stuff out of the way.
Yeah, before we roll it out.
Yeah, man. So let's just say real quick. Thanks everybody for supporting the show. The numbers are great. You guys are really digging the Dave Hillis episode, which just warms my heart because it's, I love that time period of Seattle music, and Dave was involved with so many insane records from that time period: Temple of Dog, Pearl Jam 10, Alice in Chains. I mean, he's Afghan Wigs, like he's done a lot of great shit.
Yeah.
So you guys have been digging that one. You've been digging the Randy Rhoads tribute episode we
Hmm.
did. Those numbers are insane.
Been digging the Zach Joe episode.
Yeah, the Alex Skolnick. There's a lot of great ones in there. You guys are digging. We appreciate all the support. We got the Facebook group,
Hmm.
the discussion group. Jump into that. There's a lot of cool people in there that are discussing some neat stuff, and it's fun to kind of hear you guys' opinions on the shows and things that we're missing. That's awesome. We got a
Yes.
YouTube page, Patreon. We
Hmm.
got a link tree.
Yep.
We got a lot. We're getting our shit together, I guess is what I'm trying to say, Mr. Moots.
Slowly but surely.
So thank you for sticking with us, folks. We appreciate it so much. And we do this without you because we love it. But man,
Yep.
boy, your support helps us get these amazing guests like who we're going to talk to right now.
That's right.
So on to,
Having said that,
on to the show, right?
yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Frank Aresti.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Dude, that was fantastic.
Hello.
No, that was awesome. You have nothing to fear. It's all going to be fun. All right. Well, I guess we do have kind of a stock intro question. So
Yeah.
Do you want me
bear
to hit
with
him
me.
with it?
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
All right. So the question I always like asking all the guests right off the bat is, do you remember your first music memory that made you want to pick up a guitar or whatever your first instrument was?
That's a really good question. So I think there's two memories.
Okay.
The first one, well, I had an older cousin who played guitar, and I think just I was at his house one time and he showed me a guitar and I was like, oh my God, I think so that's like one.
Right.
But I think the second one, which is probably a little bit more meaningful, um, was when I think I was like 14 or something, and my parents had sent me, I have a bunch of relatives in Italy. So my parents sent me to Italy to spend the summer, probably just to get me out of their hair.
Right.
But in Italy, everyone sleeps in the afternoon, like between 1 and 4 or whatever, something like that. I wasn't used to that. So I would just stay up in the kitchen by myself, going through the channels on the TV. And one day I was going through the channels and this music station came on, all these music videos. And I didn't have MTV at that time because where we lived, we didn't have cable, so we didn't have access to it. So this was really cool for me. I was like, oh my God, music videos. I'm just going to spend the entire afternoon watching this. All of a sudden, I see this video, these guys with long hair and all these lights and this music playing and this guy singing, which is like amazing. The whole thing was amazing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was like, who are these people? This is amazing. This completely changed the way I was seeing music at the time. Turns out, Iron Maiden, Run to the Hills.
Nice.
Like when it first came out, okay?
Yeah,
I think it hit Italy first or something, because then I came home and I'm talking to all my friends, and one of my friends had an older brother who had just bought the album. So that was it. So then we just stay in the bedroom and listen to these songs over and over and over again. And I think it was that time that really, what I heard in Iron Maiden was just this, I don't know how to describe it because I didn't know it at the time, but it was the musicianship, it was the singing, it's basically really good. I could tell they were all really good musicians doing something really cool that just made me feel really good. It was crazy. And I think that, coupled with my older cousin, I think I kind of just started going down that road. That was it.
I love that question. I mean, I always love asking it, and you know what, man? Shout out to older cousins, because my older cousin, man, boy, did he show me the way. And you're just that like young impressionable kid, and you don't know what's going on, and then you just got that older cousin that just says, "Hey, like check this stuff out. Hey, like my
that's what happened. So
right."
I would go to his house, and once a week we would go visit them. And I remember the time he was like, Frank, you got to hear this. And he played Spanish Fly.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Frank, you got to hear this. And he played when Boston came out. But the first song he played for me was Something About You. It wasn't More Than a Feeling or Peace of Mind. It was Something About You. And I still remember my reaction to the guitar sound.
Yeah.
And I even said to him, I said, how do they make the guitar sound like that? How do they do that? How can I do that?
Yeah.
So,
that was the next one, right? Yeah, that was always that like, and then this probably happened to you when you got a guitar, or when you first heard somebody play guitar and you realize, oh, I can achieve that sound too. That was like that another game changer, right? Where you're like, not the playing at the time, but like the physical sound. You realize like, oh, like this is attainable, right?
Yeah, well, that took a while. Yeah, but it took a while.
I don't know. I remember one of my best friends he was going to start playing guitar, and he had a Gorilla,
Oh yeah.
with the tube stack switch and a rat pedal. And we hooked that thing up, and it was like, I mean, we could play like kind of, Iron Man, Smoke on the Water, maybe Rainbow in the Dark, I think a little, But it was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this sounds like the album. And it was like, no, it
No,
doesn't.
it doesn't later on when you
But
realize
also,
it.
yeah, also, yeah, and you understand that like this can happen,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. And yeah, I mean, and then, you buy gear, you buy guitars, you buy amps, pedals. And yeah, eventually, then way later on, I might be jumping ahead, but then later on, me and my friends in high school were getting into Metallica and SOD and Judas Priest and all that, Anthrax. And so then we're going for that guitar sound,
yeah,
which, was fun.
yeah.
That's just that's a great sound. It's just
Oh my God.
makes playing so happy.
If the tone on Among the Living,
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
that
Yeah.
guitar tone is that is some of the
Yeah.
best shit I've ever
And
heard.
it's all around the same time period if you think about it, because the
Yeah.
Master of
Yeah.
Puppets guitar tone is amazing.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah, it's
Mesa
killer.
Yeah.
boogies and yeah, it's insanity when you think about it. Do you remember like early gear that you had when you were like figuring out your
Yeah.
sound?
So, I mean, growing up, my very first amp was a Randall RG60, and I really think I never really learned how to use it properly. I mean, it sounded okay, but I needed a distortion pedal in front of it. But then I just jumped, I got a job, at a fish market and saved money and, you know, pooled money with my parents, and I had got my first Marshall, you know. So it was a JCM 800, was a two-channel kind.
Hmm.
And, because by then I was in my high school band and we were doing stuff, and it just made it a lot, easier having a half stack at first and then a full stack later. But yeah, so Les Paul through a Marshall basically with a distortion plus in front of it, the mids scooped out, and
Yeah.
that was basically, the closest thing I could get to that tone we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, those are the ingredients for the most part.
pretty much. Yeah, I
You know.
mean, even nowadays, you
Yeah,
can have that set up and sound really good.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
that's so. When did you start playing? How old were you?
So I started getting serious, yeah, probably around 14. I started getting
Okay,
serious.
Yeah.
cool.
Um, Started with lessons, I think, when I was 10, on and off, here
Okay.
and there. It was still, it's like at that point I wanted to be like my cousin, but it was a lot of work, plus my family, we lived in Hartford, so it's like the
Hmm.
city, when I was young, so it was hard to practice because there's a lot going on, just dealing with school and crazy shit in the neighborhood, you know what I mean? Um, but then later on when we moved out to more suburban, country area, and I was surrounded by people who also played out there, so it was a little bit easier then to get into that,
Mhm.
and to be inspired and, talking about Maiden and stuff like that. And, all my friends listening to, Van Halen, AC/DC, and all that stuff. It's just, um, yeah. So then eventually, yeah. So that was around like when I was 13, 14, I started getting serious, going to lessons regularly, really practicing a lot, and, joining bands and stuff like that.
Okay. What so like high school bands at the beginning, just having fun buddies kind of thing, and then
Yeah, so I was practicing a lot. So I ended up getting in a band with some older guys. They were like juniors and seniors. And we were doing stuff like Def Leppard, Deep Purple, I think Aerosmith,
hmm,
and just stuff like that. And but what was happening was I was really starting to practice a lot, and I wanted to write my own stuff.
okay.
So I ended up leaving that band, and I got together with some other guys, and we started playing more like Metallica, Judas Priest, Dio, Black Sabbath, like later Sabbath, like Mom Rules era.
Yeah. The best.
Um, yeah, and then we started writing, and we started writing like thrashier stuff. Like there was
Okay.
more along the lines of Metallica, Anthrax, SOD, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So, because my taste started to change around that time too. I had an older sister who was going to college when I started high school. She started college, and she became like, she worked in the college radio station and became a program manager. So she introduced me to a lot of new music,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of it was punk. And I just fell in love with that whole energy, and it was just cool. And she took me to a couple shows on campus. One of those shows where you see like, there's 20 kids in a basically in a small hall, and this great band just playing, and everybody's like slam dancing. At the time, it was called slam dancing.
Yes.
So, so yeah, I started getting really into that. And I think that's why when I heard Metallica, I was like, okay, so these guys now are taking that punk aesthetic, that feel, that vibe, but marrying it with this sort of metal musicianship.
Yeah.
You got to be really good. With punk, it was like, you don't do solos. That's not allowed. You weren't supposed to be good with punk because it was all about anti-establishment, and it was all about just throwing it together and going hard, but
Yeah.
the metal was more like, no, we're going to like learn our instruments, and we're going to be really good. It was that sort of like that classical influence coming in.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what I fell in love with, because I loved Ozzy, Randy Rhoads era.
Yeah.
I loved all that classical influence in metal. And then, had the punk. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, this is it. This is the shit.
Thrash is a nice combination of those things for sure. And I mean,
Yeah.
especially Metallica in that era with Cliff and his influence. And I mean, yeah, totally makes sense. And Anthrax was kind of more keyed into like the New York hardcore kind of vibes, which is very similar, overall. So that totally checks out. Were you into like Prog as a young person?
I was not.
Okay, that I was getting.
So
that
isn't
okay.
isn't that funny? And it's funny because when I first heard Fates, like the first thing I heard was off of Metal Massacre, and it was Soldier Boy.
Okay.
And it was cool. It was cool. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. But then I saw them play, and they played stuff off of Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa, this is cool.
Yeah.
And they're doing these cool things like chord harmonies. This guy's doing this, that guy's doing that, and it was like, wow, that's really interesting. And that was really probably my first introduction to prog metal.
Okay.
I mean, aside from Queensryche, but Fates was different from the, Spectre from Within was very different from Queensryche.
Yes.
I'm talking the EP, with Queen of the Reich.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
And then, The Warning.
Yep.
And then they go to Rage for Order, which is a great album, but not really metal.
No, we mentioned it, I think, in our intro, that I feel like when I discovered Fates, it was Spectre Within and then Awaken, and from there I've been in ever since then. And I was a card carrying member of the Queensryche fan club from Rage on. I felt like Fates and Queensryche were kind of mentioned in the same breath very often.
Yeah, that's true.
But I did know, because like as technical and proggy as Queensryche were, like Fate's Warning was on a totally different level. Like it was a completely different animal. And I knew that just because I mean, I listened to all the same music you're talking about, but I also was really into Marillion and like early Genesis and stuff. So I was like, Queensryche, they're clever and they're technical, and there's some progressive ideas, but like Fate's Warning felt like prog to me.
Yeah.
The attitude's different.
Yes, and that's what I was about to say. I think that with Fates, especially as a live band, they were very heavy,
Yeah.
very, it was always something that was like a battle was how do we get the album to sound like the live band? I don't know how to do that, and I think it wasn't until, way later in Fate's career, after I had already left that they were able to capture that more.
Hmm.
But like, Awaken the Guardian,
Yep.
um, when you saw us live, it's not like listening to the album. It was the feeling is different, you
Yes.
know. And for me, it's the feeling that matters more than anything,
Yeah.
And when we were writing Guardian, it was just like we knew that we were doing something very cool. Um, and it's funny because I didn't grow up on listening to prog, but man, I loved being in that band. I just loved doing all that. The way I describe that kind of music is it's very chewy. Okay. So when I'm playing it, it's like there's a lot going on. There's a lot of chewiness to it. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love keeping my hands and my mind busy. Really, I love playing and
Hmm.
I love stretching my capabilities of playing,
Yeah. Was
whether
there
it's odd
ever
time
any?
signatures or
Sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, go ahead. I'll come back.
All I was going to say was whether it's odd time signatures or, difficult riffs or whatever,
Mhm. That's a better lead in. Were you ever working on something that was like kind of unattainable, like riff or like ideas or
Always,
patterns where you're just like,
always,
this can't be done?
always. And I still do, by the way. It's
Oh,
like,
nice.
well, I'm working on some solo stuff right now, and it's like it's so hard to record it because I can't play it right. I can hear it. I
Sure.
know what I'm supposed to do. I can't fucking play it yet. So I have to like just practice and practice. And we used to do the same thing,
Sure.
with Fates. It's like we'd come up with these parts and was like, okay, let's try that 30 times until we get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
All the time.
Let me ask you this as the guitar nerd guy of the group here between me and Mark. How much theory were you guys using when you were writing music?
I think theory was more of a sort of like, it's kind of like dark matter, right? It's like it's there, it supports everything, but you're not really looking at it. You're not really using it. So it was more like, we were writing by feel, by
Yeah,
ideas, just coming up with ideas and bouncing stuff off each other. And then stuff changes a little bit and we keep bouncing and stuff keeps changing. And eventually it forms into something. It was very rare that someone, had to pull out the theory card.
sure.
It was because we weren't thinking of that at all.
Okay,
I think while you're in the writing process, and while you're in the jamming process, you're not thinking about that.
correct.
You're
Mm.
Yeah,
just trying to, what am I hearing and how do I get that done? How do I get that out? That
Yeah.
kind of thing.
yeah. And it's funny, I tell students, I'm a guitar teacher by trade, and I tell students, well, I have to tell them it differently now because I've been teaching for a long time. I used to tell them it's like the phone book. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't read the phone book at home, but if little Billy puts a baseball through your window, you open up the phone book to figure out who can come fix your window, right? I always looked at theory that way. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you're laughing, you get it, right?
I
Like
do. I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I totally get it. But does anyone know what a phone book is anymore?
that's why I have to change it. I don't know what to say
So
anymore.
it's
Like
Google
Google.
now?
Yeah, Google, right? But it's one of those things like, like
Yeah.
if you're doing guitar harmonies and stuff, does that come naturally or like do you have to kind of think that out a bit? Like when you're soloing, do you know like, hey, I'm going to use an Aeolian scale here, or is it just something that you just know like I know these patterns, I know where my fingers are going to kind of go. I can hear the notes I want in my head, and just from the years of practicing, it's almost like just like riding a bike. You don't think about it.
Yeah, so there's two questions there. There's the harmony question and there's the soloing question. So I'll address the soloing question first. Yeah, you're right. It's more like I know the patterns. I know I can look at the neck and see everything where it is and
Mhm.
where it belongs. And then I go with, I'm just going to play through this a few times. I'm going to, like, okay, so actually, this is more fresh in my mind. Like, so when we did Arch Matheos, right? Jim would send me the parts, the
Mhm.
rhythm parts, and I would solo over them. And I would just sit back and listen to it for a while, over and over on repeat, and just be like, okay, what am I hearing? I would start there. So it's a cerebral start.
Sure.
And then I start playing with it and I just start trying things. And then once it starts to get a little bit interesting, I start to record things. And then
Okay.
I start to listen back and try to figure out what to do. And then piece by piece, I build a solo. When it came to harmonies, I always wanted to do something interesting. So it wasn't going to be always just straight thirds
Right.
or straight fourths. It might be a combination of thirds and fourths, but also it might be something different. It might be like some atonal things. It really depends on the song
Sure.
and the approach. But I remember doing some harmonies that were like, well, that's weird. It's not the first thing that you would think of, but it is interesting.
Yeah.
So that's what we would go with, stuff like that.
Yeah. That's a
So
great answer.
well, it's like you sort of have to approach everything. What are you trying to say? What's the emotion here? What's going on? And what do you want to draw out of it?
Yeah.
Do you want people to feel what you're feeling, which, if you're going to do something a little bit more atonal, maybe you're like on edge. Maybe it's a suspenseful part or
Sure.
a creepy part or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like something that just makes you go, what? What was that? What was?
Yeah.
Can you rewind that? That was interesting. That kind of thing. You know what I mean?
That's one of the hardest things to teach, I think, because harmony, like you said, it's like you don't want to play straight thirds, major and minor thirds. You want to do different type of things, and then trying to convey that to a student and be like, well, no, like here, or like here, try to play Thin Lizzy Boys Are Back in Town. There's one note that doesn't match up. And if you try to run a
Right.
harmonizer with it, the harmonizer's not smart enough to know it's supposed to be a fourth there, right?
Right.
It's like that
Right.
type of stuff.
Right.
So like,
Right.
do you at least have to know what the key is when you start off? When you're doing
Yeah,
this?
but that's like a given though.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
I hear it and I'm like, okay, F sharp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah. I do start there. So theory did always play a strong role, in that sense. Like, I see that kind of like if you're thinking of theory in that way, I kind of see it like that's your canvas. This is where you're starting. That's your canvas and the mix of colors you're working with.
Yeah.
This is what you're going to work with now. You can do a lot of different things with this key of F sharp, for example, but you're going to be in the key of F sharp.
Yeah. Now go
Right?
paint. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. Here's your browns and your yellows and your greens, and there's a canvas. Now go.
Yeah. Totally.
What can you do with brown, yellow, and green? I don't know.
You
A
can
lot.
make the San Diego Padres jersey. There goes my sports mind.
Yeah. Good one.
I love it. This is great.
So when you joined Fates, I mean, they're already kind of going and you saw them and all that. What kind of adjustment was there, like mindset wise? Because if you're coming from the world you're coming from, and all of a sudden there's these like long, elaborate, intricate arrangements and riffs and ideas, like how was adjusting your mindset to that?
It was very stressful. Right.
Yeah.
So first of all, I'm 18 and I
Wow.
just turned 18. So
Wow.
it was like, and it was kind of like the first thing that happened was, hey, Frank, we're going on tour and our guitar player can't go. Can you fill in? Yeah, sure. Okay, here's Spectre Within. Go learn it.
Right.
Jesus, like
It's like,
no
oh.
YouTube, no this and that. Like
No YouTube, no. I
holy
mean,
shit.
I would learn what I could and then we'd go over it at practice. But,
Sure.
the expectation was I showed up ready,
Yeah.
right? Because otherwise there's maybe other people that can show up ready. You know what I mean? So I
Sure.
wanted a gig. So I was like, So it was fun. It was stressful, but it was fun. It was a challenge, and I really loved the challenge.
Sure.
I remember at one point thinking that, going through all the songs on Spectre, I was like, I think I've grown as a guitar player like years in these couple of days. You know what I mean? It was like I felt like I was cramming for for like the bar exam or something. Like
Sure.
what you would imagine someone's going through
Yeah.
preparing for a bar exam. It's like that. It's like
Yeah.
you're cramming, it's constant, you're just round the clock working. I was in college, I dropped out, that kind of thing. So it was just like it was crazy. It was a crazy time.
Damn.
Sure.
Yeah. I can't imagine. Yeah, it would be like cramming for
Like the
the
SATs or
bar
something.
or SATs or
Yeah.
something. And like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the hard thing is, especially with you're learning songs. So it's like, it's not enough to just learn how to play that riff. You have to learn that riff and remember when
Yeah.
and how it happens and how many times, not to mention all the other crazy shit that happens.
Yeah.
And you have what, 10 songs that are like that level, like rocket science, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, this is a
Yeah.
while ago, and if you don't remember, it's totally cool. Do you remember how long they gave you to do that?
It was definitely like weeks. It wasn't like that much time.
Okay.
So I crammed, and I
Yeah,
crammed
yeah.
and
And then
we got it
did you
done.
get to rehearse with them?
Yeah.
Like, so it was like, hey, you got a couple weeks to learn this. We'll have practice Thursday. Show up, see how many of the tunes you got by then. That type of vibe.
Yeah. It was kind of like that. It was I think we were rehearsing I want to say 3 days a week at the time.
Okay.
So, it was like that. It was during the day, I would work, learning and practicing, and then at night I'd go and jam.
Okay.
And again, if there was a part I didn't have right, Jim would just show me like, oh no, do it like this. Or it's easier, you're doing this, but it's easier to do it this way, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So I mean, it was all very helpful. It was
Sure. So you're 18 and they drag you out on tour,
God, yes.
like big heavy metal tour, right? Well, big, I
It
suppose. Van tour, probably.
it was a car tour,
Okay.
and
Oh,
it was a big tour, but we we were on our way to the first gig. I want to say the first gig was in Alabama. So we're in Connecticut. We're driving to
oh, that's a
Alabama.
fucking drive.
And I think from what I remember, Jim called Metal Blade and like on one of our rest stops from a payphone.
Yeah.
And the person on the other end, that Metal Blade, was, how far are you from home? Because basically, I don't know how this happened, but most of the tour had just fallen through. So we did all this preparation and we drove all the way to Alabama to play one show, and then we went home.
Oh, wow. Welcome to touring, Frank.
Wow.
So that was
Welcome to the
that
road.
was so
Damn.
that was
Do you remember who the tour was supposed to be with?
no, we were headlining.
Oh, you were headlining.
It was a headlining
Okay.
tour, yeah. It was a
Okay.
headlining tour. We were playing stuff off of, mainly it was Spectre and Brocken.
Yeah.
But I want to say we might have been playing one or two songs off of Guardian. I can't remember for sure. But
Okay.
but yeah, we played one show and then went home, finished writing, and recorded that next summer.
So you were kind of in the band by then, like because they wanted you to cover for a tour, and then it was just kind of like you came in, probably killed it, and they
Never
were
left.
like, yeah, okay.
No, I just never left. I just kept showing up.
You're like, forget about your other guitar player guy. He doesn't exist. I'm here now.
They were like, no, well, the other guitar player, I think he had officially quit, is what it was. He
Okay.
didn't want to tour. He was getting married, I think, at the time, and
Okay.
I think he wanted to have a family, and it wasn't for him. He was
Sure. Yeah.
So I think he'd already left. It's just it was like, oh, Frank's going to fill in on the tour, and then I just never left.
Well,
So-
not only that, you came home and basically started writing too.
Yeah. We started right away. I mean, there was no. was no gap.
Which had been fun for you because just a couple of
Mhm.
years ago you're wanting to write your own songs and get away from the cover scene, and
Yeah,
now you're in
yeah,
Fate's Warning,
yeah.
and you're getting to write. That's awesome.
Right. Well, we were writing with my high school band. I guess I didn't talk about that, but my high school band, we ended up writing a bunch of songs. We ended up recording them, and years later, those songs were then released by, I can't remember the name of the label. They were released twice. Once,
Oh,
I want to say in the 90s, early 2000s on vinyl, and then once more recently, like on CD. Um, and it was a thrash band. And what happened was, it's hard to remember, but we're a metal band and we played a few shows and someone saw us, some local guy who wanted to manage bands saw us and was like, I want to manage you guys. You guys need to go to the studio and record a full length album, you know? And we did a demo first. We sent the demo out. And at the time, there was a magazine called Kick Ass Monthly. I don't know if you remember it, but they would like, it was basically a fanzine, you know, black and white.
mm-hmm.
And they would like do Slayer stories and Metallica stories and all that. And they did a review on our demo and it was like stellar.
Wow.
It's like five, whatever, 4 stars, 5 stars, I forget, but it was like a really good review. Like gave us a lot of confidence, you know. And then we opened up for Anthrax on the Spring the Disease tour.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
We opened up
Cool.
for them in Hartford. We played like 20 minutes. We were supposed to play 30 minutes, but we had enough songs and we played them fast, so it was only 20 minutes.
That's
But
awesome.
the entire crowd went from like the back of the venue to the front of the venue, and
Wow.
by the end of the set, everyone was into it, you know. And
That's awesome.
I want to say there was a couple guys standing side stage from Anthrax, but I can't remember. But it was like it gave us a lot of confidence. But then, poof, I don't know what happened after that. It's like it's summer hit and we all graduated. This was like the summer of '85, and we all graduated and nothing was happening. And right around that time is when I started hanging out with the Fates guys, and
Okay.
right around that time is when they asked me to fill in on the tour. So
Okay.
What was the
that's
name
how
of
that
that
all
band?
happened. So
You're reading my mind. I was going to ask them the same thing. How
Yeah.
how metal was the name of the band? What was the name of the
Yeah.
band?
Demon Axe.
Of course it was.
Demon
So,
Axe.
but Demon Axe is the name of a 5th century BC Greek philosopher. That's why we chose it, because it sounded metal, but it wasn't just like demon and axe put together. It was
Frank,
actually a
Frank,
name.
you don't have to justify a name like Demon Axe. Like, don't be an apologist for a name that good.
I love it. Just like I'm just picturing the Dungeons and Dragons book
I
in the
love it.
basement. What are we going to call the band? Like,
Wait a second. Demon Axe. Oh, that's it.
Demon Axe. Let's roll
I
a
love it.
20-sided dice to see if
Yeah.
we get the number to
Yeah, it's
call
got
the
a
band
plus
that.
5 on attack, and I know how all that works.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
That's
so good.
fantastic. All right, seriously, let's do an interview. So you're working on Guardian, and like,
Yeah.
I guess Guardian, as you well know, I'm sure, is like highly regarded in the metal world as a bit of a watershed moment for
Mhm.
prog metal, especially. And I think I know the answer to this, but I just have to ask it. Did you guys know that like you were creating something that was like could shift things a little bit?
No, I mean, I don't think any
you
of
were
us
just
did.
writing
I think
rad shit.
we were just writing, and I know we liked it.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, we thought it was really cool and all that. But it was like, you know, we didn't think anything like that. I mean, you know, we did that anniversary show a few years ago.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
2016. And I mean, that was amazing, because that was really moving to see people that much still in love with that album and that music and singing along, and just that was incredible, you know. So
Yeah.
No, we had no idea.
Yeah.
At least I had zero idea.
Sure. Yeah, and I assume not, but I figure sometimes it's like, well, we had a feeling that maybe, but it's not important.
Yeah.
Speaking of singing along, I don't know how, because like John Arch's voice is insane. Like it's crazy, and
It's crazy. Yeah.
he's so unique. Like tone, phrasing,
Yeah.
range, all of it is just like
Yeah.
I remember hearing, these albums, the early Fate stuff, and being well versed in my high singing metal dudes, I thought, but like John Arch was a different animal.
Yeah. His approach
Yeah.
is very different. His
Yeah.
mind works in different ways, and he is a workaholic.
Okay.
Like he spends a lot of time
Yeah.
and details and nuances, and he works really hard. That's what you're hearing. You're
Okay.
hearing someone who has an interesting approach, a different approach. It's a unique approach.
Mhm.
His mind works in a different way like that. And he works really, 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 really hard.
I mean, I think it sounds like it because this
Yeah.
doesn't sound like somebody who's just throwing stuff at the wall to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing in Fates sounds that way to me.
No, God.
Right.
None of it sounds terribly off the cuff.
No,
Right.
no.
But it also doesn't feel like calculated.
Right.
Like there's a heartbeat to it, and it feels organic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's a
thank
great
you.
way to
Yeah,
put it.
I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's a really nice thing to hear too, and thank you, because I think that it's important, especially with Prog, to do that, to achieve that, and that's part of when Prog is effective, it's because of that.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
like you can forget that it's Prog. You can just listen to it and just disappear in it.
Yeah.
I
totally think so. I mean, the best, Prog I can think of, there's an emotional connection for me.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
I think it's the problem with a lot of what goes on now is everything is so clinical and clean and perfect and like to the atom precise that it is lifeless and robotic and impressive. Sure. Interesting. I'm not so sure.
That's a lot of music right now too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the grid, has changed things a lot, and just the grit that you had back in the day, where it's like, no, we got to get this part right. Let's keep working on this part. It's like, oh, we can just move it over. Oh, we can just this. Oh, we can just auto tune. Yep. And I think that does make a huge difference, man. And I think that's why your records stand the test of time, because you can feel that. Well,
they're real.
Yeah, I mean, not like the newer stuff, like not your stuff, like
no, it's still
like
real.
But no, I'm saying like the newer stuff of like, a lot of techie metal stuff. It just doesn't feel. I mean, and come at me with the pitchforks, folks that love that stuff. It doesn't work for me, because it doesn't feel. Yeah. It's just too. I don't know. Same thing with like the really good guitar playing that just sounds beepy boopy. Like video game. And I'm just like, what are you saying? Like you said earlier in the conversation, you know what I mean? I don't know what you're saying, and I think that's the hard thing. So soldier on, Mark, ask some more questions. I'm enjoying this conversation.
Frank,
I'm just throwing my little things in here, but I'm enjoying this conversation tremendously.
What was the touring and support cycle for Guardian?
We did headlining US only. And it was, again, I think it was like car tour, van tour, something like that. I can't remember. I don't really remember how many shows. Sure. How far we got, like if we got to even California, I don't remember. But I remember some shows. I remember at the time we were we were using Marshalls, and I still have my Marshall from high school, and my God, those freaking things were breaking down all the time.
Hmm.
It got to a point where every day we didn't know if the damn amp was going to work or not.
Oh, wow.
Plug it in
so
and see what
frustrating.
happens, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was a short tour. What was interesting is that it was short, and then we get home, and I'm kind of gonna go to the next story here. We get home, and John sits us down and says, I want to be a studio band. I don't want to tour anymore. I want to write songs. I want to record albums. I don't want to tour."
Okay.
And we were like, "Oh," because that's all we want to do.
Yeah.
That's what we always talk about. That's what we work so hard for. So
Sure.
what do we do now? So that's what happened. That's kind of what happened
Okay.
with splitting, parting ways with John. Is he wanted to do this and we wanted to do that, and we couldn't figure it out halfway. We were at a point where we were so hungry. The four of us were so hungry to get to a next level. Where we didn't have to work shitty part-time jobs just to pay the bills so that we could keep playing. You know what I mean? We wanted to just play and tour, and and I remember, it was ironically when I first auditioned for them, during that Spectre period, I remember, I think it might have been John who was like, "So are you okay with going on tour? Are you okay with leaving home?" I mean, now that I think of it, maybe that is a question he was asking me because he himself, I don't know. This is me thinking too much, but that was the irony of it. Is I remember thinking that when he said that, I was like, "Wow, you're the one who said." I might even said that. I don't remember, because I'm like that. You said, but that's what happened there, and we were like, "Okay, what are we gonna do? We got to find someone else."
Well, yeah. Maybe John did ask that, and maybe at the time he meant it, because sometimes, at least speaking from my personal experience, when I got my old band got signed and we finally got like a real record deal, we're doing tours, we're doing the whole thing, and there all of a sudden I'm having a moment in Germany where it's like that "be careful what you wish for" thing kind of happens.
Oh, yeah.
Because I realized that like maybe touring isn't necessarily for me.
Yeah, no, I get it. And touring is, I think it's just one of those things that I happen to be good at and born for. But you're right. It's not for everyone. And if it's not for you, it's the worst thing that can happen to you.
That's hard.
Because it's all the most horrible things. No sleep. You don't know where you are. You're hungry. You have to go to the bathroom, but there's no bathroom available.
Long drives between gigs. Yeah.
Long drives. And then you got to play, and you're tired, and you haven't practiced enough, and you're not warmed up enough, and it's too cold, and it's too wet. You're too hungry. You're miserable. And then you have to perform like you're on 10. You know what I mean? And yeah, I get it. And I respect that completely. I think, though, that when this happened at that time, I was so singularly focused that I was one of the people that was like, "Okay, let's go, move on.
Right.
What's next?" I didn't think anything of it. Unfortunately, I probably came across kind of cold, but
well, were any of you guys thinking about that too, though? Because those are big shoes to fill, and you're already signed, and you've got a couple of albums out. Like, the singer thing, changing the singer, it could be a very a thing that could crush a band, right? If you don't get
Yeah.
the right
Yeah,
person,
yeah, yeah,
So what was that
yeah.
like when you were doing that situation?
I think that we were just so hungry that we didn't think about that. We just were like, okay, let's go. And by that time, we were better established, so we had a big pool to choose from.
Mhm.
We had people from all over the world sending us tapes. You know
That's
what I mean?
amazing, right?
That's cool.
So yeah, so that was like, so then it was more like this guy's good, but this guy's even gooder. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I
So it
think,
was like that.
yeah. Well, where you landed sure was good.
Yeah, Ray
And
was awesome.
Yeah.
Ray is,
If I remember the first time we heard him. So what happened was we got his demo, loved it. We're like, so the next thing we did was we sent out songs for these guys, with a few top guys that we liked to record on. And the song was Quietus, okay? Because Quietus starts very quiet with clean guitar. Then it goes into sort of this heavy, sludgy part, and then it speeds up at the end. So it was like what we called multimoodial, many moods going on. So the singer has to figure out, we gave him the lyrics, but he has to figure out how he's going to,
Transition.
yeah. Yeah. So I remember the first time we heard Ray's, it was basically what you heard on the record was his demo.
wow.
It was just like his voice tone,
Hmm.
his range, his delivery. It was just like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I, I will lose a lot of the cool prog people when I say this, but like that was when I became a huge fan of Fates.
Yeah.
Um, No Exit like blew my head off.
Yeah.
And
That
Perfect
was a
Symmetry
great
is
idea.
my favorite album.
Oh, really? Oh, we should talk
We'll
about
get to that. We'll get to that. Um,
I have some things to
but it's
ask you
true.
about that.
But it's true. Yes, we will talk about that. But there's a shift in Fates where things are a little more melodic isn't quite the word, but it kind of is the word. Do you know what I mean? Because Ray's approach is a little more
It's more direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's more direct. Again, like I was saying before, John's head works in different ways. He approaches things from a very different angle. Ray was much more direct. And Ray had a great voice,
Mm-hmm.
and this was also the first time that we were writing lyrics, not the singer.
Yeah.
So there's also that. There's also Ray having to take someone else's lyrics and shoehorn them into the song and make them work for him.
Well, that is I sing, and when you have to emote somebody else's thoughts, that's difficult. And it's hard to like take words somebody else has given you and make them yours. So that's interesting. I actually didn't even think about that. Was that true for the next album as well, or was that just No Exit was kind of written and you gave it to him, and then, or did Ray
No, that was
participate?
true for a long time. I don't remember Ray contributing to lyrics until way later.
Really? Okay. And who
Yeah.
who was the main wordsmith?
It was Jim and me.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it was mainly Jim and me during those years. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's some great stuff on there. And even the
Thank you.
shift in thematically changed pretty drastically from Guardian to No Exit.
Yeah, because you had a different person now
Yeah.
writing the lyric. So we were writing more from a more realism, if you want to say.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
like if you look at types of movies, you have realism movies and you have fantasy movies
Mhm.
or sci-fi or whatever. We were coming from it from a more realism angle,
Yeah.
Jim and I basically writing about, inner angst, inner demons, or, you know, maybe commenting on geopolitics, but in a
Mhm.
disguised way, or something like that. It was more like that.
Yeah.
It was definitely, I think, yeah, it was a different era because of that.
Mhm.
The band changed very much,
I think
because
overall,
of
yeah,
that.
it felt more introspective, I suppose is kind of the word, but like
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Yeah,
it just felt different. And there's again nothing against the stuff prior to it, but it really that was when I really perked up more, and I can't say
mm,
why.
yeah,
However, there is the Ivory Gate of Dreams thing
yeah, yeah,
that that's something else, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. It is,
Um,
and it's fun to play live. It
is
was
it okay?
so much fun. I mean, I loved that.
Yeah,
And we would just play it start to finish.
man,
It's fun. I loved it.
that's amazing. And like, so when you were touring, you were playing Ivory Gate.
Yeah,
Damn.
See, but you can do
yeah.
that though in a band like this.
Yeah, yeah, you
That's
couldn't
what's
have been.
great. I bet your fans were just so into it.
Oh yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Like they're looking
yeah.
for, it's like any really good band that has a solid fan base that is in that realm. It's like they want to hear the new stuff that you're doing. They
Hmm.
they they don't care if you play a whole record from front to back. They don't. I mean, they're there for
Yeah,
you it's really, I mean, I'm going to say this, it's going to probably sound corny, but it's the experience,
yeah,
and they're totally locked in for that, which is
Yeah,
a wonderful
that's.
feeling. You know what I mean?
I don't think that's corny at all. I think that's why you pay to go see a show.
Yeah,
hmm,
You're paying because you want to experience this in a way that you can't otherwise.
yeah,
And when you see a band live, and this goes back to what I was saying before, Fates, even on the No Exit tour, were very different live. It
yeah,
was just heavier. It was just something about it that was
yeah.
just meaner, heavier, more, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And you're right. And that's what we do,
mhm.
so we get on there and we're playing it and we're feeling it and we're emoting it, so yeah, of course, when you come in, yeah, I don't think that's corny, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a weird question? Because I have this in my head, and I was thinking about how Anthrax did something. Um, you're trying to figure out why it's a lot more heavier live than in the studio, right?
Hmm.
So are you going to the point where you're like, okay, next record, like we have to figure out how to make the live heaviness translate to tape? Like,
Yeah.
how are you guys trying to figure out how to do that? Because I know Anthrax, I don't remember what record it was, they brought in their friends while they were
Oh.
tracking live. So they're tracking live, and I got all these people like just
Okay.
getting into it, and it was like that was their way to try to, you know what I mean? Like, was there things
Yeah,
you guys were
yeah.
thinking about trying to do? Because I know as a guy that's played in bands, like I think we all go through that problem, right? Where it's like it just sounds so much heavier live. Like, why are we not getting that on tape? Like, was there anything you guys tried to go through to achieve that?
It was for us, it was more about what does it sound like, you know um I get what you're talking about. There is a part of that sort of live energy, but I wasn't even really thinking about that back then. I was thinking more in terms of how do we get the production,
Yeah,
and I always felt like we didn't have enough money ever to get to that next production level. Even when we did Parallels, which was more money than we ever had,
yeah.
even Parallels, something happened. So we're tracking, I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead,
No,
but
this
in
is great.
Parallels, we're
Yeah.
tracking guitars. First time we're using the Mark IV Boogie amps. creating this humongous sound.
Yes.
And I remember, tracking, and, I had a Jackson at the time that had like this switch on it that was kind of like a mid shift. You basically turn it on and it sounds like Michael Schenker when he did his
The
Cocteau thing.
Cocteau thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it had a knob on it that mixed it in. So you could just dial it in a little bit. Right.
Okay.
So both Jim and I were using that guitar to track. We were tracking that, like we were using that guitar for a lot of the layers, and huge sound. And I remember tracking it, and I was like so excited. I was like, these guitars sound huge. This album's going to be so heavy. This is going to be great, right?
Yeah.
So then I leave the studio. They finish up what they're doing. They get mixed. It gets mastered.
Yep.
And I listen to it, and I'm like,
Yep.
what happened? I think the first question I asked Jim was, what happened to the guitars?
Isn't that funny how that works?
Where'd they go? Now, if you listen to Parallels now, it sounds good.
It does.
But it doesn't sound like what I remember in the studio.
Isn't
In the studio, it sounded fucking huge.
And you learn that lesson too, right? Like you learn that like the guitars sound enormous. And then as you get more of a seasoned, like I don't want to say musician, but a seasoned, player where you record more records, you're like, they sound great. Please keep it that way, right? And then you don't know if it gets to the finish line or not, right? It's just it's kind of Mooch. You can say the same thing, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, right.
At least plenty of things that sounded great at the rough mix stage, and then you get it to the end of the line, and you're like, well, maybe the next one, One of these days, I'll get that guitar tone.
It's like my favorite emoji, this one.
Yep.
It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing, man.
It's the truth. It's what people don't realize too. Like your listeners that don't record, that don't play instruments, they don't get this cool stuff we're talking about. I mean, it's not cool because we all went through it in a bad way in that sense, but like they don't get, they don't see this aspect of it. You know what I mean? That's what I love about our show.
Behind the scenes,
yeah, we get to talk.
The struggle is real.
A bit. It is, man. Pull the curtain back a little bit. It's fun. It's and I think it's cool because when the conversation's over, it'll be neat for people that have never heard you guys that listen to our show to go back and check out some of these records. It'll be really cool for the people that are fans of you guys to go back with different ears because of the stuff that you're giving us tonight.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
So one of the things, so I was listening to I listened to quite a few Fates records today in preparation for you, sir. I felt like No Exit. It made sense. Like there is some progression there, no pun intended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's a bit more of a dramatic. Maybe dramatic's a little dramatic, but
you're like, what the fuck happened?
No, not at all. Not even close. We're going there. I feel like when we get to Perfect Symmetry, there's just the path has shifted.
Big time, yeah. A lot.
Yeah, but like I think the core is still intact, but it's different now. Conscious effort.
Yes, 150% conscious. I don't know exactly what the impetus was, but I remember at one point me and Jim saying, we got to do something completely different next time. I think I don't want to sound like a little brat, but I think we just got bored and we were like, okay, we got to shake things up now. Now, part of what you're hearing is the different drummer, right? So we're working on this new music. Steve Zimmerman, the original drummer, wasn't getting it. It just he was not syncing with it. And I think there was some other stuff going on, and eventually we decided we got to move on from here, So Zonder comes in, and he lends like a cleanliness to everything when he
Mm.
plays, right? So to speak. Now the music is very different. The music is much more, the guitar parts are much more open.
Yeah.
We really wanted to capture more voicings in chords.
Mhm.
So we wanted to clean up the sounds. I think at the time, looking back with 2020 vision, I think that we could have had a heavier sound and still retain the clarity. I mean, like, more like the parallels, like if we use boogies or something.
Yeah.
But I think that was before we tried the boogies. So we were just trying different things, just trying to achieve a clarity. And I think the clarity at the time took away the heaviness.
Sure.
So if you listen to the riffs on Perfect Symmetry and you play them through like the setup we used on Parallels, it sounds amazing. It sounds like heavy, sounds powerful, sounds amazing. But with the guitar setup that we were using on Perfect Symmetry, even though when we were recording it, it sounded really good and full and wide and interesting, I think that when it finally hit the vinyl, it was like no exit, Perfect Symmetry, what happened?
Sure.
And I think there were a lot of people like that. I mean, we got
Okay.
some hate mail. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've gotten into let's call them debates with people because they
Yeah.
weren't quite arguments. Um, but I love Perfect Symmetry. I really do. And listening to it today for the however many fifth time over the years, like I still love that record. Um, there's just something. The songs I think are really interesting without. And I'm comfortable with being confused by music, but there's something sort of comforting to me about Perfect Symmetry, and that could just be a emotional connection to when I found it. Maybe, but it feels. I remember hearing it the first time, and while it sounded very different, it also felt familiar to me. And I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But
I,
but it's your
yeah,
album. So.
well, I mean, I think that it feels very nostalgic to me, not literally, but like even when we made it, it felt like a nostalgic piece.
Mm,
I'm not saying that that's what we intended. And it was just the time we were at in our
sure.
career that as writers at that point, this is what we were doing. And you're right. Some of the stuff on there is really cool.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that if someone were to re-record Perfect Symmetry tuned down with a heavy guitar, it would
Mm,
like be like pretty like, wow, holy fuck, what is this? This is,
yeah.
heavy, really heavy,
Yeah.
But again, I think I don't know why. It was like I felt like we were always struggling with production.
Mm.
Always.
And you say that would you say, I guess, that obviously you're on Metal Blade, which is
Mhm,
fucking Metal Blade Records, but it's also an indie, and
mhm.
they don't have a ton of money to throw around.
Right.
But if I remember correctly, and you alluded to it, Parallels was like kind of a big push, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like were you? I think I went to the like listening party for that at Foundations Forum the year it
Oh
came
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember it being like a really big deal. And I love that record
Yeah.
too. I really do.
So what's going on there
Yeah.
is that album, there were 4 bands that year on Metal Blade that got picked up by Warner
Mm-hmm.
Brothers.
That's
And
right.
we were one of them. That's why the
Okay.
expense, the cover,
Yeah.
I mean, the touring we did, but again, you know, what was weird is Warner Brothers ended up dropping us like right in the middle of the tour.
Hmm.
So we were doing this sold out tour in the US, and we have plans to go on tour, to do summer tours, shed tours with bigger bands.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, fell out, like the rug pulled out from
Wow.
under us. And that, I think, was probably the beginning of the end for me,
Yeah.
Sure.
because I was like, I don't understand that we're selling more records than ever. We're selling more tickets than ever. We have a strong reaction. We have our videos on MTV when back, as you guys remember, when MTV was a thing and it mattered,
Yeah.
we
Absolutely.
were getting like really good rotation.
Mhm.
First hour of Headbangers music,
Yeah.
Headbangers Ball. And that was just Warner Brothers going, changed our mind. We're doing this now, and that was it,
Wow.
and yeah, so that we then like ended up not doing anything for like, I think 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
because then we were like, well, we're going to leave Metal Blade, and we fired our manager, and we had to get a new manager, and we hired one guy and it didn't work out, but we spent 6 months finding that out, and we went after labels who thought they might be interested and then they weren't, and blah 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 blah. We landed back with Metal Blade
Mm-hmm.
for Inside Out.
Yeah.
And then Inside Out was like a weird sort of thing where we never even got together to rehearse.
Oh.
It was a budget question.
Okay.
Do we get together to rehearse and spend all this money for 2 weeks rehearsing and then record, or do we just take that money and put it into recording?
Yeah.
And it was a band decision, so the band decided that no rehearsals, we're just gonna all learn our parts, and we're going to the studio and record the way we did, which was drums, then bass, then guitars, vocals.
Sure.
Okay.
So it felt very, I don't know, I want to say like disconnected maybe,
Sure.
and I remember reading a review where this reviewer called it all out. He was, and I think he was someone who really liked Fates and heard this album, was like, okay, wait a minute, guys, you're not fooling me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say what I think, and that's how it felt.
Sure.
And I remember calling him up and going, what's going on? Why'd you write this review like this? It's like a bad review. He's like, well, I didn't mean it to be a bad review, but I got to tell you what I think. And it sounded like you guys were phoning it in. That's not the words he used, but that's basically the meaning
Right.
behind what he was saying.
Sure.
And it was interesting to me because I was like, oh, I kind of feel like we did. It was just a weird time. It was just a really weird time, and it was weird.
Can we go back just a little bit, if you don't mind? Because I
Sure.
have some questions that I'm interested in asking you. So parallels, you get the money thrown at you. You said Warner,
Mhm.
right? Warner, and they
Mhm.
signed four other. They
Yeah.
grabbed four others. Do you remember the other three they grabbed at that time period?
Yes.
Okay, who was it?
Yes. It was Lizzie Borden,
Okay.
Armored Saint, and Google Dolls.
That's right.
Okay. And
So
then,
it wasn't Warner that we were on. We were on Reprise, which was part of Warner's.
yeah.
And I think, and I don't know how they like made that decision, like who went to what label, I don't know how they did that.
Sure.
But I remember Google Dolls ended up like blowing up.
Yeah.
And so Warner Brothers picked them up,
Yeah.
but dropped the rest of us.
And
Yeah.
it's funny because that time's interesting. We had Ron from Little Caesar on, and he was talking about being picked up by Geffen, and
Yeah.
he was saying that it was like Nirvana, them, and somebody else, and Nirvana was just like the college radio band that they picked up just to
Yeah.
have one of
Yeah.
them, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny, hindsight 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: when is that in '91? Do you remember, like when?
Yeah.
that all happened?
Yeah, because I remember, so we were trying to think, we were in the studio in 91, and I remember our AR guy from Reprise flying out to see us
Okay.
rehearsing.
Okay.
So we flew to Toronto to work with Terry Brown. And so we rehearsed for a while and then recorded all in Toronto. And yeah, the AR guy flew out to see us. So that was like early 91, like I want to say
Okay.
spring, summer of 91.
So
Matter of fact, yes, I remember being in Toronto when they celebrated their Independence Day, which is like right around our Independence Day, July 4th. So it's like the first week of July or something.
okay, so it's pre-Black Album by Metallica, right? Because Metallica
Right
came
around
out
that
in
time.
91. Let me ask you this question. This is another question I was interested in asking you. Is there more label involvement now where they're trying to say, hey guys, we need you to sound
Nope.
like this or that? Or it's just like they're
Nope.
letting you do what you want to do?
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly what happened. You know,
That
we
was
always did what we wanted to do. No one ever told us
See, that's
anything.
great. That's great because a lot of bands they get that push and that like that pressure. So that was cool. Yeah, those are the questions I had about that because I really like that record too.
Mhm. Yeah.
And like that was one of the ones where as I was listening to the catalog today, kind of refreshing my brain. I was like, man, like the production sounds fucking great on this record.
Yeah. So well, I do want to say one thing about that. That album was more like what we intended for Perfect Symmetry. You know, you have your bigger guitar sounds, you still have the
Yeah.
clarity,
Yeah.
you know, so the different chord voicings we're playing are still really coming through,
Yeah.
but it's still heavy,
Yeah.
Yes.
you know. And basically that's because Terry Brown had us just get a bunch of amps from a music store and we plugged into all of them and we tried them all and ended
I,
up
I was
favoring the
going to
Mark
ask you
IV.
that.
That
I
was
was
it.
going to ask you that too. Was there a different amp you used for leads?
Yep.
Yeah.
We ended up just using I can't remember what I used for leads. At the time I also had a rack that had MP1.
Oh, the ADA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if I even used it. I think we might have used it for cleans because it was like the boogie sounds amazing, you know, just
Yeah.
it
And
was
those
just
those ADAs had really good like chorus,
yeah.
flanger, really good clean tone. I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
my questions. Mark, continue on. I was
You do.
just curious on like this little things in my head I wanted to ask Frank today.
Oh, it's all good, man.
So okay, so Warner drops you, and then Inside Out. That's where we
Yeah.
were. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said that was the wheels are coming off, kind of for
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, tough decision, I imagine. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it was really tough, you know, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. I thought I'd go back to school,
hmm,
you know. I didn't know what I was gonna do, you know, so I just started playing with other ideas, different types of music, starting new bands with different types of music, and just never really, you know, never really found my thing after that, you know. So yeah, then I ended up just, you know, moving on in life, you know,
yeah,
after that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all, you know, and it was interesting because um what I did was I kind of stopped playing for a while,
hmm,
you know. I think I was just going through something like I just felt like I don't know, I don't want this to sound weird, but I felt like the music industry was just like a betrayal. It was just like
Well,
what happened? How could you put so much into something and just get like nothing out of it and just get, you know, shit on, really, so to speak. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
No,
Even though
it's
that's
the
not what
music industry,
happened.
bro.
but that's the
Well,
time
yeah, you
period
know,
too,
and
though. Think about the time period you're talking about right now. 1994. You've got grunge, you've got new
Yep.
metal on the horizon. Like there's a lot of bands that don't know where they are. And then the other thing I just realized, you weren't even 30 yet, were you? You weren't even 30.
Right.
Like that's insane, dude. And this is like
Yeah.
your real first band per se, besides the
Demon Axe.
the Demon Axe.
Demon
Excuse me.
Axe.
I want to say Dragon Axe. Anyway, it's your first like real band where you're like,
Yeah.
I mean, like when Moot said, you know, like the decision, I mean, that's got to be just insanely difficult because it's all you kind of know. And then it's like, oh, hey, by the way, your career's over at 28 or however old you were.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, you know. And I guess in a way, though, it was like you could look at it also that, well, that's kind of lucky. I'm still 28
Sure.
or actually
Yeah.
27 or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe I will go back to school. I don't know, you know.
And you did it too. Like you played, you got to tour, you got to do these things too. So it's not like you played in a band for 10 years and you never went out of your hometown, right? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, it is all good, you know, but it was like, I think my perspective at the time when I'm in it, when you're in something, it's very different. And I think I just had a very bleak outlook because of everything. I just
Sure.
kind of maybe took everything, I don't know, too personal. I remember one time I was, this was like in the late 80s and I was complaining. I had my oldest sister had a boyfriend at the time, and I'm just complaining to him. He was a musician too. And I'm complaining to him about this and that, and the record companies, and this, and the management, and this and that. And he just looks at me and goes, I think you need to meditate. And I didn't know what that was. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
Right. Meditate.
You know? But I think I'm like, I always think about that because I'm like, he was right. You know, I
That's
needed to
funny.
like get my head out of that shit that I was in, you know,
Sure.
just,
Well,
you know, it's just, yeah.
Well, in the 80s, us East Coast guys, because I'm an East Coast guy too, it's like meditate. It's like rub some dirt on it. What was meditate? You know, that was a line in an Excess song. You know what I mean? Like we
That's
didn't
true.
know what the
It
hell that was.
I was like, what are you talking? What is, how do you do that? But that was it. I never learned back then, you know. I was like, it's just
Do you
because
do
nobody
it?
knew what that was.
Do you do it now?
I do now, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's good for you.
Cool.
Yeah. Clear the head, you know. So I
Yeah.
don't. So yeah, I mean, you know, it was an extremely tough decision. I think though that the reason why I made it was because I felt that at the time I felt that the band had peaked at Parallels, and looking at trajectories of bands, it's like usually you peak, and if you don't go up the next album, like we didn't, you know, Inside Out was kind of like not good for us, you know. So you go from Parallels to Inside Out, where, you know, we're playing, you know, for like 30 minutes in front of Dream Theater, you know, and when we did do the one-off shows, you know, barely anyone showed up. It was like a complete opposite of Parallels. So I think I was just like at the point where I was like, you know, I need to think of my life like, what am I going to be doing when I am 30 or when I'm 40 or when I'm 50? You know, what do I want to do? You know, I just felt like I wanted something a little bit more steady, a little bit more predictable. You know, I think that the unpredictability of the music industry is really good when you're young, you know, but I didn't feel it was really good for me going into like a middle age, like into the 30s, you know what I mean? So I was like, oof, you know, I don't know what to do. So I'm gonna not do this, you know.
Yeah.
And figure it out. And maybe there's another band that maybe I can start something new. Maybe I can do this. You know, I've never had a problem with ideas, you know. So like I was saying before, I took some time off of playing guitar to reassess. And then I ended up doing there's a project I did called Dragon Spoon, which was a lot of electronic stuff. I just bought what I could and tapped out, buttons to make music. And I used a little bit of guitar, and it was interesting, and it felt cathartic at the time, and I'm glad I did it, but then this is going to be funny, okay? What happened was, so the sound guy for Fates was doing sound for White Zombie and then Rob Zombie. So Rob Zombie was coming into town with opening for Ozzy. So the sound guy was like, Frank, come to the show, blah, blah, blah. So I go to the show, I watch the show, and I see Zach. And this was, I want to say, early 2000s. Zach was fucking on fire. And I watched him, and I was like, I remembered why I wanted to do what I wanted to do. It felt like that moment I was telling you about with Iron Maiden in Italy.
Yeah.
In the kitchen, it was like, holy shit, this is why. So I swear to God, I went home, and it's funny. At this time, I was already working at Command Music. So I was interfacing with Dunlop a lot. So Jimmy Dunlop. So I called Jimmy the next day. I'm like, what pick is Zach using? I need to know right now because I'm going to get back in shape. I'm doing this. You know what I mean?
We're putting the
that's
band
what
back
happened.
together.
Yeah, so that's what happened. I started playing that again, and then I started some other heavy bands, and then
Cool.
fast forward after that, getting into cover bands back east with the guys from Shadows Fall, and that was a blast. And then I had a project called Dark Day Sunday, and again we did a lot there. We recorded a lot of stuff, never finished it. Different story there, but there was a lot of work, and there was a lot of I had a lot of creativity. I got a lot done, and even today I'm still writing solo stuff, instrumental stuff.
Nice.
Getting, either well, I was doing like MIDI drums, but now with AI, I haven't really tried it yet, but a friend of mine is doing it. And he's like, this is great, Frank, you need to do this, But just to get ideas down, and then getting a real drummer to sort of
Flesh it out.
fix it. Yeah. Humanize it, So, there's always been that. It's like before Fates, before my high school band, what I would do is I would spend hours just making stuff up. Like literally just making shit up on the spot, just playing for hours like that, just chord progressions and things and riffs and whatever. That never left me ever. Like to this day, if we weren't on this call right now, that's what I would be doing right now.
Yeah.
I try to spend, at least an hour and a half, 2 hours every day at the end of the day, just, because for me, it's still healing. It's still something that just I have to do. It's like
it's that 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, and it's like it's like this is what I was born to do because I can't not do it.
Yeah.
So
lifer, as we call it on the show.
Lifer.
Hey, let me ask you this real quick.
Yeah.
When you're doing the Shadows Fall stuff, when you're playing with some of those guys, you playing with Brian?
Yeah.
During that time or no?
No. Okay. It was John and Matt.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. And Matt was playing bass, so it was me and John on guitar.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
And
wow.
We were always trying to outdo each other. It was a blast.
That's awesome.
It was a complete blast. We would just fuck with each other, try to outdo each other, see who could drink more and still play better. It was just so much fun. That band was so much fun. It was like,
that's awesome.
I loved it. I still miss it. It's been like 14 years, I think.
I asked that because we're going to have Brian on the show tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Tell him I said hello. No, we never played with him, but
yeah, I will for sure. Yeah, because that's the whole East Coast thing, man, right? Because they're
Yeah.
Yeah,
are
yeah,
they from
yeah, yeah.
Connecticut too, right? Or no?
Massachusetts, but just
Massachusetts,
over the
right?
border. It's Springfield, so Hartford, Springfield is right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
like that I was thinking when you said you stopped playing, I was like, well, that's smart. Because I think sometimes in life we just need a palate
Mm.
cleanse.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
because if
yeah,
you kept playing and trying to make something happen, it would just get more and more frustrating because you
yeah.
had the thing, you didn't want to do that thing, and now you're doing the same thing but without the thing. That was a lot of things.
That's a lot of
Um,
things.
Yeah, no, no, you're right.
but
I sold all my guitars.
Oh
wow.
wow.
Oh, you
You
went that
Oh,
far.
know,
you went
yeah, I went.
that deep end. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Wow.
went. It was like I'm getting rid of. I sold all my amps. I sold everything
Oh shit.
Yeah.
and started fresh. So started with a Les Paul again.
Okay.
Years later, and then Jackson's again. Because then at the time Fender had bought Command where I was working, so now I had an in with Jackson. So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
great.
There you go.
I was like, give me a
Yeah.
deal. So yeah, then I started rebuilding, and
Okay.
yeah.
That's great. But you did go back to
You're
Fates for a minute.
Yeah, so then what happened was in '03, yeah, Jim called and was like, hey, Spinal Tap moment. Hey, we're getting the band back together. Um,
We're playing the
the
puppet
single
show.
blew,
Would you like
the
to open
single
up the
blew up in
puppet show?
Japan, the puppet show, right? So what had happened was, my understanding is that Queensryche and Dream Theater were doing a big shed tour in the summer,
Mhm.
and Mike called up Jim and said, let's get Fates to open, but get Fates with Frank.
Oh wow. That's
So that was
awesome.
Mike's fault. So I was like, okay. So I was like, I checked with my boss at work. They were cool for 6 weeks, no problem, and it was fucking awesome.
That's so
Wow.
It was
cool, dude.
so much fun. So that was the '03. That was it was us, Queensryche and Dream Theater. And
Hmm.
then after that, we just kept doing that. And so even though I wasn't like a full-time member of the band, I would still do, they would still send me stuff and I would do solos. I think there was one song I had writing credit on,
Okay.
you know, um, uh, I think it was the album Darkness in a Different Light, I think.
Darkness in a
And,
different
yeah. And I think I had writing credit on that. And then I would play some shows with them. And then we started doing like fly dates. So like 2 weeks here, a week, 10 days there, whatever. We started
Yeah,
doing stuff like that a lot. Until we couldn't do that anymore. You know,
sure.
um, so and the last time I did that was, I can't remember, but I was living in California, so it would have been around 2013, 14, around that time period. And then we did a Parallels anniversary, then we did the Guardian anniversary. I can't remember if there was anything after the Guardian anniversary or no, I can't remember. But that was kind of like the time period where it all sort
Yeah.
of stopped.
When you
You
still
know,
collaborated with Jim for the Arch Matheos things, right?
yes, we did some shows with that, which was probably my favorite band at the
Mm.
time. It was just like playing with Jim and Vera and Jarzombek was like, holy, those songs off of
Yeah.
Arch Matheos. I mean, it was like so much fun. I
That's so
wish we could have done that for like a year of just touring, because that was so much fun. I just loved it. Talk about chewy, right? We were
yeah.
saying
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
that album is chewy for sure. Lots of
It's a bit of a
chewiness.
jawbreaker, really
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was just
dense.
loved it. The first time I heard it, I was like, holy crap, you guys.
Yeah.
Amazing. You guys are assholes. This is so good. It's like, what the fuck?
That's
Where
so
did this
good.
come from, man? It's like,
You guys
Jesus
are
Christ.
assholes.
It's like, you guys don't stop getting better. What the fuck?
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna go. I want to do kind of a bonus round with you real
Okay.
quick. Rapid fire questions.
Uh-oh.
Answer as quick as you can.
All right.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Timer, please. Here we go.
No. There's no timer, but I just want your I just want honest reaction.
All right.
Okay.
Favorite riff you've ever written?
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is going to be terrible for you.
Hey, do I get a
You
question?
know
in
what?
this too?
Actually,
Sure.
it's a riff you've not heard.
Okay, well that was coming up, so
Okay, so because my favorite riff I ever wrote was for that band I did. So Dark Day Sunday was a band that sounded like old school thrash, very heavy, but also very melodic. So kind of like with a lot of open chords, but a lot of heavy riffing. And there's one of those songs. It was a riff in F sharp. Just to this day, I still play it like probably every day because it's just so much fun to play, and it's just cool. And it's like when I'm working out, I do a lot of testing at work, picks, strings, whatever. So I play a lot of that shit,
That's
when
awesome.
I'm testing stuff out. So yeah. So sorry, it's nothing that
No, that all I wanted was honest answers.
Okay.
Most challenging song to perform live from your career?
Oh my God, I think anything off of the first Arch Matheos.
Yeah,
Hands
that
down.
checks out.
Anything. Yeah.
Your favorite underrated Fates track?
Oh my God. I don't know why, but the only thing that's coming to mind is Chasing Time.
Yeah, that's a good one. Really good. Okay, I like that. One album that every guitar player should listen to.
Ooh.
Holy crap. Jesus. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm trying to make this as quick as possible, but probably I would say, oh my God, maybe I just thought of this. I was gonna say Steve Morse, but then I think fucking the first Ingve album.
Nice. Nice. Game-changing album.
Come on, right?
Game-changing album.
To this day, I listen to it and I'm like, what the fuck?
It is unfuckwithable.
Yeah.
Like it can't be done.
Right.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
That's amazing. Thank you for being a good sport on that one.
Wait, I get two.
Yeah, okay, he's got two.
I got two.
Okay.
I got two. Don't leave me out here. All right. First one. What town have you played that you were surprised was so cool to play?
My God. Okay, so I'm going to answer this in a way of surprise. Like,
Okay.
didn't think it was going to be this good.
Yeah.
Probably Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Like, they really turned out, and it was like a great show. It was like fun, and yeah.
Did you get in a fight at the Waffle House after the show or no? The only time I've ever been to a Waffle House is in Oklahoma City. It's amazing.
No.
And
I've never been to the one in Oklahoma City, but I've seen fights in Waffle House.
oh, it's amazing.
It must be a Waffle House thing.
It's
darling,
definitely a Waffle
darling,
House.
darling.
Oh, that's sugar, I think.
Yeah, darling. And here's the second one. Name me a band that you like, maybe even in that time period when Fates is just popping, that people would be very surprised that you like.
GBH,
Ah,
Broken Bones,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
you know,
Nice,
stuff like
nice.
that.
Okay, cool.
It's funny. I was on iTunes the other day, and iTunes never did this before, but Broken Bones showed up in my feed.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, I haven't heard this in so long. I played it and I was like, I still fucking love this.
Yeah.
I still love it. It's just, and them and GBH is like that heavy, again, it's that punk metal vibe, which, what I wanted to also talk about was when I first saw Pantera. So our management company was Concrete Management,
Okay.
right? They also managed White Zombie and Pantera.
Yep.
So I remember one day we're playing New York, and our manager's like, "Yeah, we're gonna have our band Pantera open for you." And we're like, "Okay, whatever, cool." So I went out to check them out because it was also like, another band that our management company did. So I was just curious, I was floored.
Cowboys from Hell
It was
tour.
like huh?
Cowboys from
Yeah, it
Hell
was
tour.
early Cowboys from Hell. I think it was
Yeah.
before Cowboys from Hell came out. And I'm watching them and I'm like, okay, so first of all, overall, this band, I think, perfected the punk and metal mix, perfected it like better than everyone, because the lead singer at the time was sporting a green mohawk, and he was just fucking cool, and he had that rasp and that screaminess of punk, but he also had the melody and the sort of, like, back then he was like he could
Halford.
have range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Halford
Yeah,
fucking-
like Halford. Yeah, exactly. And then you have the guitar player, and I'm saying it this way because at the time I didn't know any of them. I didn't know their names.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the fucking guitar player is like, where the fuck did he come from?
Yeah.
Great tone, amazing playing, all by himself, huge tone, right? The fucking drummer is like on fire, and the bass player is just sort of hugging it all together.
Yeah.
I was like, I literally was like, I don't want to play after these guys.
It's like
I
a
fucking
Slayer
did
thing,
not want
right?
to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I never got a chance to tell them, because I really wanted to tell them that, like, guys, you guys are fucking, I love you guys, again, that kind of
Yeah.
mix. And, then they blew up,
Yeah.
so then after that, that was it. But that was another band I wanted to mention that, when we're talking about, who am I surprised at, who I like that people would be surprised about, probably that too. But they were really close to us. So I'm not sure, like, if people would be surprised, but definitely GBH, Broken Bones, stuff like that. Be like,
That's awesome.
what?
No, that's awesome.
It's a great answer, and the thing that's cool about it too is, like, with the Pantera thing, I think we all have that connection. I know Mark knows those guys, or knew Daryl, and
A little bit.
and
Yeah,
and was involved a lot in the early days of Pantera, working in the radio, the record store. I saw them. I saw them in New Jersey in '92 with Skid Row. I didn't even know they were on the bill.
oh my God.
Ace-
I went to see that tour too. Yeah.
Ace Frehley comes out and plays Cold Gin, and my high school mind was blown, dude. I
Oh
was
my
like, "What is going on?"
God.
And then Daryl's got the Coors Light 12 packs on his legs, like Gene Simmons. Sebastian Bach singing Cold Gin. I'm like, "This is ridiculous, man!" But, like, the thing I remember about that show, this is June of 1992, and they're playing fucking Hostile, and there's like a fight and something, and Phil stops the song or whatever, and then he looks at Vin, and he goes on the mic. He's like, "All right, take it from UC," and they just go right into it. There might have been like one hi-hat click I didn't hear, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, what am I watching right now? Like,
Guys
because
are monsters, man.
dude, I had seen Metallica like a month before that, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
this is where everything's going. It's going this way. Like, you just knew it. I mean, and like, as a guitar player, all three of us are guitar players. Like,
Yeah.
Daryl was like that bridge between Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen. He had his own thing going on, and you're just like,
Yeah.
dude, he was
a
no
beast.
joke, dude. And so
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, there's still times I listen to it and I'm like, I can hear the Randy influence. I can hear the Van Halen, and I can hear those influences. And he's like, but he's got his own thing.
He did.
Yeah.
It was all him, it was his personality, his expression, his voice, and
100%. 100%.
he was just so good. He's just one of those people, again, born to do that. That was his
natural born
path in life. It's just like, this is
down.
what you're gonna do. There's no other
hands
Nothing
down.
else.
And
You
it's a
know?
shame you didn't get to talk to him and tell him, because I guarantee
I
you he
know.
probably loved Fates. I mean,
Yeah.
he was such a music fan, which I always I never got to meet him. I met Vin a couple times. I opened up for Hell Yeah. And um, he was like very sincere with other
Yeah.
bands, and like he didn't give a shit like what you thought. Like he could be listening to Slayer, and the next thing you know, he's got
Yeah.
a blue Saraceno plaid tattoo on his ankle. I mean, he didn't care. I mean,
Love blues. I
blues,
love blues.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my!
Yeah.
I met him at NAMM, and he was the nicest guy, dude. Talked to him for like 25 minutes, just
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
humble and just
Yeah.
oh God, what a just I'll tell you this. I'll tell you a story real quick. So we just interviewed Grover Jackson, right? No, it was John Sticks. I think it was John Sticks that told us the story.
Oh, John. I remember John. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Super cool guy, right? So we did a
Yeah.
Randy Rhoads special. We got to interview both those guys. John Sticks produced, I think I'm getting this right, he produced those Blue Saraceno records. Now, here's the
Okay.
thing that blew my mind. You're thinking Blue Saraceno, a lot of off the cuff, kind of cool, like licks and whatever. He had every note worked out
Yeah. Yeah. I believe it.
before you
So
hit
blues
the
is,
record button.
so he's from Connecticut. I remember seeing him at the same place I used to go get lessons at, like when we were both very young,
Okay.
and yeah, he was just, even back then he had a reputation,
Yeah.
before I heard him, he had a reputation. So when I
Yeah.
finally heard him, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
again, great tone, great feel, great voice, everything. But yeah, it was, those guys, and not telling, exactly, not knocking on the door, and letting them know that. I always tell myself, like, oh, I should have done that.
Sure.
I think I was just, there was a lot of other shit going on with backstage at the time. It was just,
Sure.
I was in a bad place anyway, you know what I mean? So it was just like, oh, but after seeing them, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we all.
That was the reaction, especially at that time.
Oh man.
Like, they were a force of nature.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. Dude. We could probably go do this for quite a while. But
We're just nerding out.
We'd love for you to have a life too.
no, and
and
I'm
not-
happy to do it. I really am. It's been really, really, really cool
Yes.
to like get to talk to you about this stuff.
Okay.
Shed a lot of light on some of my favorite music. So I really appreciate you, and I appreciate the information and your time. Yeah, I guess. Do you have anything you want to promote, or like, is there anything we can talk about? Put in the show
Yeah, I
notes,
mean,
send
no.
people your way.
Not really, just
Okay. There's no wrong answer.
He's like, I'm good. I'm cool. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I got a couple songs up on iTunes. If you search for Frank Aresti, you might find them. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not even sure if they're going to show up, because I loaded them up once and then I never went back. So,
Fantastic.
but yeah, I'm working on a bunch of stuff. I don't know what's going to see the light of day at this point. I'm just working on it, and we'll see what happens. I am in a cover band now here locally in the Bay Area, called Union Jack and the Rippers. And it's so funny because it's basically all the songs I played in my cover band in high school. It's like Priest, Maiden, Saxon. I mean, all that stuff. It's
Awesome.
a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And it's just I get to like nerd out again, just.
But that's
playing
what it's
cool
all
shit.
about, isn't it? That's what it's all
Yeah.
about.
That's
I'm
great.
looking right now. I don't think this is you, because it's a 2025 single. Did you write a song called Airstream, and how to?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Airstream,
you can find Frank on Spotify, which I'll be listening to this
See?
once we get off the phone call. I'm excited,
You will
man.
get a 13th of a
Let me
penny.
know what you think.
I will absolutely know what you
Yeah, for
think.
sure.
I super enjoyed this
Send me
conversation.
one of these. Send me one of
No,
these.
dude, I've heard you play guitar. Like, it's gonna be one of those. Like,
it'll be good.
You never know.
I'm gonna be putting my Paul Reed Smith down after listening to it, probably.
Frank's had better days.
Stick to the talking on the podcast. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
I'm obviously kidding. Yeah, no,
Uh,
it's been amazing talking to you, and I think one of the coolest
Thank you.
things that we get to do on this show, because you can tell we just love music and we're musicians, and
Yeah,
I
this is
think
a
it's
lot of
always
fun.
fun
Yeah.
to talk to musicians, not journalists, and not nothing against journalists, obviously, but I think we're relatable more, right? The thing I like about this show is when I get to talk to people and I get more backstory, and it's something I've told Moots forever, when I started this podcast years ago, is I get to go back and listen to records with a different
Oh, yeah.
perspective, which is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
cool. And I
Yeah.
hope that our audience does that too. Whether you guys are into Fates Warning or never heard of them before, I hope this conversation today helps you just dive right in. And we have that technology now where we can do it. And I think it's cool because you got a lot from you today. And I think it's
Yeah.
really neat to go back now knowing what you were doing and thinking on these records and go back and listen to them and just enjoy them and just like I said, a different perspective, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
So thank you for indulging us really in this really cool conversation.
Well, thank you. And also I want to say thank you guys because this was a lot of fun getting to nerd out and talk about stuff that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of fun for me. So thank you very much for the great questions. And you guys did a lot of research. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Not as much as you think.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not as much research as you think. It's we dig your music. It's
oh,
and if that's the
I,
research we have to do, Jesus Christ, that's awesome.
yeah,
It's
bummer. I
not
have to listen to
research.
Fate's Warning.
Yeah, going back and listening to some of the old records and after I got done teaching today it was just
Yeah,
awesome. It was just cool,
oh,
man.
that's cool. All
Really,
right.
really
That's
was.
awesome.
Really was. Well,
cool.
ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you and thanks to Frank. And
Yeah,
I usually close the show, but Mark, you want to close the show?
I do.
All right.
I guess we already said all the thank yous, so that's one thing. And then usually it's just the be good to yourself, be good to others, tell a friend, listen to more music, listen to Fate's Warning, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely.